Hello everybody! So Spirit Shinobirds, a deck that I recently fell in love with. I didn't know how much fun this deck was until I actually played it. I did see people play it, but this deck does have a lot of variation, and it does have a lot of different things you can do with it. You can go for OTK, control, you can go for like a disruption type build, you can go for like a turbo style, but the deck is really fun. So onto deck profile before I show you guys some duels. Notable things are the Brilliant Fusion engine. It's really good because you're able to send Nikitama onto the graveyard. But the way you want to play Brilliant Fusion in this deck is by having one Spirit monster on the field and then play Brilliant Fusion, so that way you can get Nikitama's draw effect. The deck does not really need any draw, but I feel like adding trade in, sometimes it can help you unbreak hands when you draw multiple copies of a ritual monster but no ritual spell, which is quite common. But by pitching one trade-in, you can have tribute fodder in the graveyard. We are playing two of the new Spirit card, Rock Spirit effect. One thing is that all rock monsters during the end phase return to your hand. But the reason why we are playing this rock guy is because he's basically Majesty's Fiend for anything that isn't a spirit. So that is really good because if you're playing something against something like Zodiacs, Masterpiece, anything that uses a lot of monster effects, which is like 99% of today's meta, you are able to stop it. But it's quite tricky to play this and have it on your opponent's turn, but usually you'll do it by either summoning Shinobird Peacock or using the Urgent Ritual trap card during your opponent's turn. I'll get onto that later. We are only playing one of the Shinobird cards, not Spiritbird, Shinobirds, because all the other ones, if we have a quick look at Shinobirds, we are playing Crane because it's the best one. Pigeon, it's it's okay. It doesn't really do anything for the deck. And Crow, okay, so with Pigeon, just return something to the hand, which isn't really what you want to do. And then Shinobird Crow, I guess it can unbreak some of your hands, because if you don't want to use trade-in, you can always trade. If you don't want to use trade-in, for example, and you have a spare Shinobaron, you can play Crow and then discard the Shinobaron, and Crow gains, I believe, yeah, it gains like 3,000 attack and 2,500 defense, which is pretty cool. But he's a very niche card. And then we are playing pretty much like every single Shinobird support card, spell trap. We are playing the Manju because if we don't have preparation, if we don't have the ritual and we don't have preparation rights, Manju does come in handy in order to pitch for whatever you need. And then we are playing the two spirit support cards, Nikitama and Aratama. So Nikitama at first can be a little bit tricky to use, but Aratama is a lot easier. So Aratama, when this card is normal summoned, you can add a spirit monster. And Nikitama, when you summon it, it gives you an extra normal summon, but it can only be for spirit monsters, in addition to your normal summon. And then when this card is sent to the graveyard, you draw a card. However, you must control a spirit monster to resolve this effect. So usually what you want to do is play Aratama, search Nikitama, and then use your Shinobird Calling to tribute Aratama and Nikitama, and then you'll be able to draw one card and make your Shinobaron Peacock or Shinobaris. We are playing two Gale Dogra. The reason why I'm playing Gale Dogra is because, really quickly, Yugi Nono recently posted a build that is it's the deck that he's playing during Link format or something. It's like Herald, Fluffle, Fairy, Cyber Angel shenanigans, basically. And it was really interesting how he used Dogra to pitch Herald of Arclight, and I was like, wait, that can actually work in my Shino Spirit deck because oh wait, the other cards that I had in a side deck disappeared. Oh wait, that's fine. I'll go over them. So the way you combo this is you play Gildogra and then pay 3,000 life points, send Herald of Arclight, and then with Herald of Arclight you can add a ritual monster, ritual spell. Now the amount of times you'll be able to pull this off is limited. However, it opens up the possibility for this to be a side deck card in case, like, you know, you need to. It's a faster play basically. It's a guaranteed play because it opens slots. But you can also use Gildogra to send to the graveyard Elder Entity enters, because when Elder Entity enters is sent to the graveyard, you can target one card on the field and destroy it. So, you know, you pay 3,000 life points to destroy a card. Isn't as good as the search effect. However, with Gildogra, the reason why this works better in a Herald deck is because with Herald of Arclight you have negation. So this does make the deck a little bit more fragile. But you can always play other things instead of this, like hand traps, or an extra copy of Urgent Ritual, extra copy of Icarus Attack. But right now, this is the build that I'm going with. Max C, because it's the best card in the game right now. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets banned in a September ban list or something. And then for rituals, we are playing 3 of the Shino Baron Peacock and only 1 Shino Baroness Peacock. You can potentially play 2 of this, or put 1 in the side deck in case you're playing against a more back row heavy deck or a pendulum deck. She's especially effective in a pendulum deck, especially when you combine it with Urgent Ritual Art, which allows you to special summon her in your opponent's turn, and you just disrupt their play. It's really, really strong. Precision of Rites, it's just a must play in any ritual deck, and you are able to play this because the Shinobird ritual card includes both the Shino Baron and Shino Baroness names. So, you know, trade into Unbreak Hands, or just to, you know, help you. Which is fine because when you play a Spirit Calling, you must tribute monsters from your hand or field, or banish monsters from your graveyard. So, even if it's in the graveyard, you can still use it, and it's very rare that you'll need 2 Shino Barons on your hand because he just kind of recycles himself. So even if you have 1 in the graveyard, it's just easy tribute fodder. Brilliant Fusion for the Seraphonite and getting Nikitam onto the graveyard when you control a spirit monster, giving you the extra normal summon, allowing you to go into potentially rank 4s. Then we are playing 3 of the Shino Baron Power Spot. This is really good. All spirit monsters you control gain 500 attack, and then when a wind monster returns from your hand, you're able to add a spirit monster or a ritual spell card. So, you know, gives you that little bit of search. Urgent Ritual Art. I'm considering bumping this up to 2. It's really, really good. So if you control no ritual monsters, you can banish 1 ritual spell from your graveyard, and this card effect becomes of that ritual of that card's effect. So basically, you banish a ritual from the graveyard, and this card becomes Shinobird Calling. This is really important because being able to use Shinobird Calling during your opponent's turn does disrupt their play by being able to bounce monsters back to the hand, or bouncing spell and trap cards onto the deck. Very, very good. Talking about deck, one effect that I forgot to mention is the Shinobaron's Peacock is able to special summon a spirit monster, level 4 or low spirit monster from the deck, but Shinobaron is only able to do it from the hand, so you know, they're like the polar opposites. We are playing Icarus Attack. It's really, really strong in this deck because whenever your Shinobaron Peacock leaves the field, it leaves 2 tokens as, like, you know, his feathers. So you are able to tribute those feathers to destroy 2 cards. So it's really, really powerful. I think I got this from watching Dzeef's deck profile of his Shino Baron deck. So that's pretty much what I did. I combined 2 different deck profiles and, you know, made them into one. And then we are playing 1 Shinobird Salvation. Now this card is busted, and playing one, it's a big enough threat that it will put pressure on your opponent for them to do something about it. But if you come out with a second one, it's usually a GG. So if a spirit monster you control returns to the hand while this card is face up on the field, you can target one monster your opponent controls and destroy it. So uh, it's like a 1/4, it comes back to the hand and I get to destroy something. But the second effect is also really, really strong because you can banish one spirit monster from the graveyard and end the battle phase. So this can, if you have like really bad hands, this can save you a bunch of times. So it's worth mentioning. That's why you don't need to play any like Quaking Mirror Forces or any of the Mirror Forces or any like battle traps that threatening roars and whatnot, because this just does that for you. The extra deck is pretty simple. We are playing Seraph Knight because of Bone Fusion, Herald for Gildogra, and then we are playing the Utopia package. You can play a level A if you want. I mean, a rank A. Galcia Cypher Dragon seems fine. Illuminate to unbreak your hands. Number 41 Baguska because it's a staple right now. Castel staple. I'm playing Diamond Eye Wolf over Tornado Dragon because when I summon Diamond Eye Wolf, I'm able to destroy my tokens that Shinobird Peacock leaves behind. I can destroy the tokens to use a Diamond Eye Wolf's effect, so I don't have to destroy himself. We are playing Daigusto Emerald because in OTK situations I can detach one and special summon Garnet from the grave, and that's a lot of damage. It's like 3,000 something damage, 3,500 or something, just off Daigusto Emerald. A Dweller to stop graveyard plays, and then Cowboy to push for game in those situations that you need. Deco Talk is right now a staple, and I would easily put Akashic Magician as a staple link monster because she just, when this card is link summon, any card that she points to return to the hand. So you have to be very careful using with her, but when she does come up, she's really powerful. Just to being able to bounce something. The side deck again, Enters to combine with Dogra if you want to. You can even play number 38. Pretty much you have access to the whole rank, to the rank 4 toolbox because of the Shinobird tokens. Not the tokens, but like the other, because you were able to go into like Nikitama into any other spirit monster. So you can go into rank 4 if you need to. You can also play Ogre. Where is she? You can play Ghost Ogre, you can play Ghost Reaper, you can play Ash Blossom, any hand traps. You can now with Pot of Desires. Not the Desires. So Pot of Desires. I mean, in a faster meta, you can't get much faster than now, but it's like the deck, unless you OTK, can't really win in 2 turns. You kind of need 3 turns of beatdown to win. So banishing one of your Shinobird ritual monsters, ritual cards can be really bad. But if you play more copies of Urgent Ritual Art, I guess it's okay. But again, it's a very glass cannon card. I avoid playing it, not because I don't like the draw. It's just it doesn't really, if I banish something that I will need, because in this deck you need every single spirit, every single ritual card. So banishing one and not being able to get it back is kind of iffy. So let's move on to the deck replays that I have to show you guys. Nothing too meta other than like I played against a zombie, a phantasm. I played against Metal Foe, Masked Hero recently topped in the OCG, so I guess that's fine. So just waiting for this to load. So the first game I'm playing against a Cyvus deck. This is actually a friend of mine. We were just playtesting. He was using his new Cyvus deck. It's pretty good. I just went with the simple pick Manju set pass. Nothing too big. So he attacks over my Manju. I believe this was a really long game. So he goes for Cybernet backdoor, and then he used it during the end phase, which is really nice. So I go for Icarus attack, destroy everything, but then he brings back the Honeybot and makes Deco Talker. Now at this moment I activate Shinobird Calling, skipping his battle phase. Very, very nice. So he solemns my crow, which is fine. I wasn't gonna do anything with it. In fact, the play that I was gonna go for was to bounce crow back and destroy his Deco Talker. But again, I banish crow and ends the battle phase. So I got pre-preparation of rights, really like the best up I could have asked. This just bounces cards. So he bought Honey bought back, but Shino Baron just bounces without targeting, so that's really nice. And then all my spirit monsters, except the Ama no Iwato, he doesn't get bounced back because it ignores the summoning conditions. I draw Garnet, really unfortunate, but then I destroy the Direwolf. I mean, I make Direwolf to destroy his face down. Unfortunately, it was Dot Scrapper. He's just able to bring it back. I destroy the token, but this time I just destroy it instantly, and it's a Big Booty Bitron. Not much I could do. Now, my opponent misplays here. He said something like, oh, I was going to make Link Spider, and then use a Lincoln Flyers effect to special summon. But again, you know, I just summon Nikitama, bounce it to the hand, destroy a monster. And then he tried to destroy his own Stack Reviver, because he was going to do some, like, graveyard play with Link Stacker, but, you know, I used Shinobird Salvation to negate his battle phase. So that was a pretty okay duel. The next one is against Ancient Years. So, you know, my opponent had a really strong hand. I go for pre-preparation of rights, a Brilliant Fusion. This was like one of the first duels, so I didn't really know how to I didn't really know how to use the deck at first, but then as the game goes on, it was just using Nikitama, so at first using Nikitama can be a little bit confusing, but it was fine. So the problem with using Gale Dogra is that you end up leaving this 650 body on the field, and you can't really do anything with it because it's an insect. It doesn't really synergize with the deck, so that's why some people might not play it, but you know, it's fine. So in this deck we were actually playing Master Ruling 3. The deck still holds up fine, even without the link zones. You know, you can just you can still win. And here I summon a Shinobaron Peacock. If I put this in attack mode, I would be able to push for game, because, like, you know, my opponent being able to just bounce this stuff back to the hand is really devastating. So, you know, I got myself a pretty easy win. So this next deck against Mask Heroes, I don't think I won, but it was still a very hard deck, a very hard game. So my opponent goes for standard D draws and then uses Malicious Effect. He had the Greed Owl Alligator. He goes for Dark Claw. So instantly I thought, wow, Dark Claw, how am I gonna get over this? And then I was like, okay, I can just bounce this stuff back to the hand. Made a Brilliant Fusion, got the draw of Nikitama. Made Shinobird Power Spot. Got myself the tokens, and you know, got to search the ritual spell. So I had a pretty nice sword on the field. My opponent does go for Anki, and then he is able to get a search, D draw, attacks into my Seraph Knight, and I made a big mistake, but really, I mean, it's really hard to beat the current field. Anyway, because he plays Absolute Zero now. The way I haven't figured out a way to, unless I'm able, even if I banish it, it's still gonna destroy. It's still gonna nuke my field. But you know, that was fine. So I play the ritual, and then that was the big mistake. I bounced it onto into the deck, and I should have just destroyed it by battle, so that way my opponent wouldn't be able to use it again. And he goes for the MST onto my Shinobird Healing, makes Absolute Zero again, and then swings. He makes Acid, destroys my field, and at this moment it was really hard for me to come back. But luckily, top deck, pre-preparation of rights, I just make this, bounce it to the hand, attack for 3,000, and then you know, this was the only thing I could do. But again, I think that the big misplay was to send Absolute Zero into the field, back into the extra deck, instead of just destroying it once for all. But if we look at his extra deck, he's playing... Okay, he doesn't play... It's a masked hero deck, but he doesn't play 2 copies of Absolute Zero. So I guess I could have just destroyed it and prevented my field from getting nuked. He goes to Blazeman and makes Absolute Zero again. Wait, one sec. Does he have 2 Absolute Zeros? No, he doesn't have 2 Absolute Zeros. I got confused for a second. And then he just, attacks. So it was still a very good game, but I could have prevented the loss, potentially. So that's something you want to take notice of when you're playing against mass heroes, is to not destroy Absolute Zero and not bounce it into the deck. So I go for Manju and then make Shinobird. Standard play on turn 1. Now I find this deck, I'm trying to play on turn 1 to see how the deck holds up, but I feel like the deck, it's not really OTK, but it's definitely a go second deck. So make Brilliant Fusion, again, mistake. I should have played this Spirit. I still got the draw for Shinobird Crane, but I should have just played Crane, then go for Brilliant Fusion, then go for the Shinobird. So again, I just pre-preparation of rights, get my... So here what I do is I go for pre-preparation of rights, because I drew Shinobird... No, I drew pre-preparation of rights off Nikitama and went for Shinobird Ness, so that way I can destroy his pesky negate zone thing that was blocking 2 of my zones. And then I just swing for game. Not necessarily swing for game, but just swing and leave him at 600. So here, if I had another level 4, I could have made Cowboy and then Cowboy for game. But I have a nice little wall of tokens. So he goes for a Metal Foes play, and then I think he just gives up because he has 2 Lone Fires in the hand, and there wasn't really much he could do at this point. So just showing you how to use a Baroness. Why did it go into the deck profile? That's not what I wanted to do. A match against Pendulums. So this match was pretty one-sided because once I figured out my opponent was so I go for Peacock first. I mean Shirobaran. He's usually the guy I want to open up with, and then now I search for Aratama because Aratama can get the search to search Nikitama and then use Nikitama. So you get the point. But once I found out my opponent was playing Pendulums, I was like, okay, so I can use a Shirobaraness to bounce 3 of his cards and get the full effect, and then special summon Aratama. So I go for pre-preparation of rights. He plays a Time Pendulum, whatever, destroys my power spot, make Shirobaraness, bounce his Pendulum zones, Nikitama, search, make Direwolf, destroy the token, destroy his Supreme King Venom, and just attack. She bounces, leaves tokens behind. Very, very standard play, but, using the Shirobaraness when she's the best. Here I make... so the play that I did here was to use Urgent Ritual Art to summon Shirobaraness on my opponent's turn, and then use Shirobaraness's effect to bounce the Pendulum zones. And, there wasn't much my opponent could do. He had no cards in the hand, no cards on field. It was pretty one-sided. But just to show what Shirobaraness can do. This next game against Phantasm Spirals. Looking at my opponent's hand, it's just a very normal monster. It's an equip. It's like, I feel like the new Phantasm deck is like using normal monsters in 2017 where they equip spells, which is something we've been doing for a long time, but it just works out because they actually have proper support. So he makes Link Spider and then goes into Gene Warped Werewolf, but he can't use Link Spider to swing over my tokens, so I use the Shirobaran to bounce stuff and then use his effect to special summon from the hand, and then just attack, and 600. My opponent, I don't think he could do anything really. Actually, he wasn't even playing against Phantasm Spirals, or maybe he was, I don't know, but he was playing a bunch of like normal monster support. And then we are moving on to the final duel, where I play against a zombie deck. Again, very one-sided deck because I figure out a way to shut down my opponent. So my opponent, he's playing some sort of like zombie, not your standard uni-zombie, Mizuki zombies, but a more like old school zombie, I feel like. Again, just go for a standard play, Brilliant Fusion, able to go plus, draw a couple of cards. He goes for a Lure of Darkness, and then he zombie worlds my field, sets a Pot of Avarice, so I go for Shinobird, bounce his monster, and then get a draw for Crane, attack, 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 and just make Abyss Dweller, because I figured he's probably going to use some sort of graveyard effects, so I might as well just make Abyss Dweller and negate any potential graveyard effects he might want to use. Just put everything in attack and swing, and that was pretty much the end of the game. I feel like my opponent had a really bad hand, so that's probably why I won, but I don't know. But yeah, that was my Shinobird deck. It worked out pretty well. In some of the matches I was playing Gildogre, and some of the matches I wasn't, but you know, that's fine. You can always change the build to suit your playstyle. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and until then, I'll see you in the next one.